Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Chicane. We're your hosts,
Brindley
and McKenna, and we're here to put the chic in motorsport.
Our goal is to bring you the latest paddock pulp, provide in-depth and unique interviews with fans and your favorite F1 content creators,
and encourage you in learning about the sport in a fun and innovative way.
We hope you stick around for today's episode, and if you haven't already, make sure to check out our introduction episode to get to know more about your host.
With that, let's get revving.
Woo! All right, so P1s and DNF of the week. You said you had a good one, so I'm excited to see what it is.
Yes. I actually have, a lot of good things happening this week.
Oh, okay.
Exciting things.
Mm-hmm.
I have a little women's retreat with my church this weekend.
Fun.
It's also Easter weekend, so that's going to be really fun. And I got some fabric over the weekend for a couple new sewing projects.
Okay.
So we're going to see how that goes. Yeah, are you okay? My daughter's joining us again today. Also, if you're watching on video, you'll see that we changed our setup a little bit.
We did.
It's still a work in progress, but progress is happening.
Yep.
And I think that this is already quite the upgrade.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And we obviously are not in front of a window anymore, so there's some things coming.
It's not ratchet.
DNF?
I just literally hit my face with the mic on accident.
It's okay.
Today's
a chaotic day.
I don't think I have one for this week.
Aww.
I have another win, is I talked about last week that I was finally selling my bread.
Yeah.
And so this was the first week where people officially bought it, and I actually made it for them. And it went great. It went smoothly. The loaves turned out really good. So
That's good.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too. That will be a
Yeah.
fun experience for you.
All right. Why don't you go ahead?
My P1s. I'm trying to think of what I did last week. I went to a worship night. That was really fun. My leading church doesn't have a lot of young adult ministry, so I've been looking through other churches around the area, and one of my coworkers invited me to a worship night, and it was really fun.
She's trying to grab the mic. Are you wanting to say something as a way? She's grabbing the mic. Keep moving it away, and she keeps reaching for it. Oh, she bit it a little bit. All right, you can't do that. All right, sorry for the little interruption.
It's okay. And then one thing I'm looking forward to this week is I'm going on a Palm Sunday sunrise hike.
What?
Yes, I'm really excited. It's with that same youth group, not youth group, young adults group, and I'm making some cinnamon sourdough.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a cinnamon roll sourdough. It has cream cheese bits in it.
That sounds so good.
So
like a loaf or actual
loaf,
rolls?
Okay. Yeah. I cut it up and everything.
Ooh,
so
that's gonna be yummy.
Yeah.
I saw a recipe. This is totally just a bread tangent, but for a lemon poppy seed loaf, and I thought that's just
so
such a good summery recipe to try.
For sure.
So that might be coming soon.
I can't think of a DNF this week. I do have a test today, which I'm a little bit stressed about, but I don't think I have a DNF.
Yeah. It's overall been a really good week.
Yeah.
And if something bad happened, then I forgot it.
Yeah. Which means it couldn't have been that bad.
Yeah.
All right, so we have some paddock pulp, and today's episode is going to be a little bit different because we don't have a race this weekend. The next race we'll be at is Japan/Suzuka, and that will be next week. So as usual with our filler episodes, we'll have F1 information that you guys are interested in, that we come up with. So today we'll do our recap of the Australian GP, and then how the flags work, penalty works, and how to get points in F1. Mm-hmm. So tune in for all of that. But today's paddock pulp, bear with me on the name, but Ayamu Iwasa will be replacing Danny Rick in Japan for FP1 and testing. This will be a home race for the Super Formula 1 driver, and will follow the team, and this will allow the team to have a Japanese lineup for part of the weekend. So it's just really cool. He has experience in different racing categories. They do this throughout the year with all of the teams. They have reserve drivers or drivers from other formulas to come in and test the car and see if it's working for other people outside of Formula 1.
Yeah.
This one's kind of like, not a great, I don't know if you know about this one, but over the Australian GP weekend, there was a video going around on social media of George Russell in the bathroom where
I have not seen this at all.
Yeah. So a F1 fan came into the bathroom recording and came up to him to the urinal. I have not watched this video. This is just from like what I've seen in headlines. But he came up to him recording him and was like, "Yo, oh my gosh, you're George Russell." Like, and he was like, "Yeah, dude, I'm going to the bathroom. Why is your phone out?" So, basically it was posted on social media by that fan, which has a really big following. So Mercedes put out a press release and was like, this is not okay on so many different terms. If you see the video, please report it. And if you know the creator, please report their account. So I had to do that this weekend on like 3 different accounts.
Yeah.
It was very disrespectful, and I don't like, if you want to meet a driver, find a different space to meet them, but
not the place to do it.
And then to go post it on social media is another level of disgust. Like,
yeah, that's just like invasive on so many different levels.
So besides that, Susie Wolf is filing a complaint against the FIA due to all of the drama that happened in like November, December of her being accused of getting her job just because of her husband. So because the first compliant did not have proof of it, it got like overrun or whatever. Like it went down, and basically she was like, I'm here because I'm good at my job. Like, I'm here because I have a career.
Credentials.
I have the credentials. Like, so she's she's filing a complaint against the FIA and that person because of all the drama that ensued in her life. So go Susie for doing that.
She's killing it.
She's killing it. And then last for our paddock pulp, if you watched or know any of the news of the last race this weekend, Williams gave Alex Albon Logan Sargent's car for the rest of the Australian GP weekend due to only having one chassis. I can't say it. So thoughts on that?
I was shocked, perplexed. I didn't think it was real when I first read it. I was like, what the heck? What is happening? Obviously, I don't get to make the calls, but I don't exactly agree with it. I can understand why, if, Alex is the better chance at getting the points right now because he's been in that car for longer. He knows kind of how to drive it. Yeah. He's more comfortable than Logan right now. But, yeah, I was not super stoked about that. I don't know if you're watching. I think it was in qualifying or free practice 3.
It was FP3.
It was the commentators. It was Alex's birthday. And I love them sometimes. They're so brutal. But he was like, happy birthday, Alexander Albon. Your gift, Logan Sargent's car. And I was like, I died laughing and laughed for like 3 minutes straight. I was like, I cannot handle this right now.
Did you see Max's comment?
No.
So
wait, I think I did actually.
Yeah.
Yes,
so they were asking some of the drivers how they felt on the situation if this were to ever happen with them, and Max was like, "If this ever," he said, "Logan is a much better person than me because if this ever happened to me, I would be on the first flight home, and I would also crash my own car so that nobody could race that weekend."
I was like, there would be no car racing that weekend.
Which I'm like, I'm okay with that. Like, if you're gonna, I don't know. I don't like the situation, but obviously we're not behind the scenes and everything. So.
It is just a part of the sport, and I feel like some people forget that it is a very brutal sport and very cutthroat. So. Yeah. It's just part of it.
Where the reality comes in, yeah.
Why there's a Netflix show about it.
But take it with a grain of salt. Okay, so how did our podium predictions go?
All right. I was right in some things, actually.
You were right pretty good this weekend.
I said we'd have Oscar, specifically P1. He got P4, which, is up there, top 5. That's really good. And then I said Carlos and Checo. We had Carlos P1. I was so excited about that. We had the Ferrari 1-2. So exciting. And then I was so happy, and I wish my reaction was like videoed when Max.
Girl, everybody.
DNF.
I wish I would have known, but also not known.
Yeah, because it's like the shock value.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I never thought I would see this day.
Mm-mm.
Like, I never thought this would happen. But he DNF'd lap 3/4.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, if you're watching video, I'm making like a dumbfounded face.
Girl, I wish I could have recorded myself, because I set it up on the TV, and my mom was like finishing some stuff up, and she was in the living room as well. We're on the first few laps, and Carlos overtakes him, and I'm like, whoa,
Okay,
whoa,
what's happening?
Because it's one thing to overtake him, but then like to keep that position and everything, and then he just started dropping down the order, and I was like, what the crap is happening? Like, what is actually happening? And I was just sitting there like this, like watching the TV with my mouth open and like my hand covering my mouth, and my mom goes, wait, that's the guy that's always winning. What does that mean, Brinley? Like, what? Explain. Yeah. And I was like, she's freaking out, and she doesn't even watch this. And so then I was like, something must be wrong with the car. And then
there's smoke.
And then there was smoke, and I was like, holy crap, he's about to DNF. And she was like, then who's gonna win?
I don't know.
I was like, I have no idea. She stayed up all night watching that live race with me, and I was like, wow. I think I might have just claimed a new F1 fan. But yeah, so your predictions did pretty good in overall. But my podium prediction, I was gonna say we'll get into that in a second. But mine was Oscar, Lewis, and Lance. So no, I went very out there. I think out of the whole, I got 3 predictions right. Okay. Out of everything. So hot takes for the race. What did you get right? Or wrong?
So the Oscar win didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say we'd have a double McLaren?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't happen, but I mean they.
No, you said both McLaren's top 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I said both McLaren's top 5. Apparently, I'm pretty good at this.
Yeah.
So
you should start doing the F1 play.
I should. Maybe I'll win a free trip. Williams double points didn't happen because we had one Williams who didn't race, and then the other one didn't get points. With how many people were like, Valtteri had a really bad pit stop.
Mm-hmm.
Danny wasn't doing very good. Both Saubers were not actually doing really good. They had a couple bad pit stops.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, but the commentator was like, they are allergic to pit stops.
I think I was too focused on the fact that Carlos and Lando and Charles were all fighting for the first position.
That was really good. That was so entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Max is great. I love him. Like, his dominance is like really interesting, honestly, to like see and watch, and it's like really amazing. But I feel like there was real joy with Carlos and like the Ferrari 1-2.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Max is just kind of like, I'm sure he is very happy, but he doesn't express it as much. I feel like you can't hear it in his voice over the radio. And so that was just so fun to see.
And you predicted a Max DNF, and it happened.
Guys.
She did. Maybe you should do that every weekend. Not every weekend.
I have the mind of a mastermind.
She does. Mine was Oscar win. Did not happen. Danny in the points. Did not happen. Valtteri in the points. Did not happen. Both McLarens did happen. K-Mag points. I did predict that.
We had double Haas points.
And then I said both Williams, and that didn't happen because of everything that happened with Logan and Alex.
Not ideal.
No. And then back to the DNF predictions. What were your DNF predictions? Which you got right.
Okay, guys. I got this right.
Not completely right. I forgot about Alpine.
I said we'd have a Mercedes DNF, specifically George, but we had 2 Mercedes DNFs.
We did. So I feel like that counts.
Yeah.
You said
so it was like
3 DNFs.
It was double right.
Yeah, it was double right.
Yeah. And then Max. I said we'd have an Alpine DNF. Didn't happen.
Yeah.
but that's good.
I was literally listening.
They needed to finish the race.
I was listening to the podcast our episode last week so I could get our predictions and everything. And I was like, she predicted Max DNFing and George, like specifically George. And it was literally the last lap that he DNF'd. That's crazy.
Have you seen all the stuff that like every time Carlos has won, George has DNF'd? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then Carlos and Lando on the podium, he DNFs the last lap. Mm-hmm. I thought that was crazy. Also, I sent Brinley this video. I don't know if you guys... The creator's really funny. We'll have to like share his thing on social media sometime. But like after the Ferrari 1-2, there were dolphins swimming in Venice. And he was like, the world is healing.
It is. We got Lando's first podium, a Carlos win, and a Charlos win.
Yeah.
Like,
it was so sweet in like the press interview after. He was like, my two favorite teammates.
I know. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do this right now.
Yeah. There was just so much wholesome content that came out of all of that. Like Lando hugging Carlos's dad.
And his dad kissing him on the cheek. Like, oh, it was so sweet. My DNF predictions were 5 DNFs, which we only got 3. But I said Hulkenberg, Alpine, Max, Zhou, and a Ferrari. But I only got the Max one right. So, because I was like, if we have Oscar win, then Max has to DNF.
The only way that happens is Max not being in the race.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I had some notes from the race, but I think we've covered most of it in just talking.
Yeah.
There was a lot of track limits this weekend that didn't get penalized, but like I just like all of them going off into turn 9, like going into the grass. That is everyone's downfall. Like specifically Alex's.
I'm thankful he finished. I was like, if he crashes Logan's car,
I would be livid. And I'm not even Logan.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I really wonder what Logan's what was going on in his head.
I do.
He was for sure keeping it professional. I'm sure he had some colorful words to say.
Yeah.
Did you have something to say?
Yeah, I did. I was upset because I do love Williams. I love Alex and Logan. But I also think that based off of everything in the past few races that Alex has raced here, he's crashed every single time.
Yeah. It's not a track that he favors.
No. And Logan didn't do well at this track last year either, but he was also a rookie, and it was like mechanical issues. I don't think he crashed. I think it was like an engine failure. So I'm like, this wouldn't happen with any other team. If a driver crashed his car and then they only had one part to fix in the other car, it would just be that person's out of the race the whole weekend. So I think that kind of solidifies that he probably won't be here next year, which kind of makes me sad.
Yeah, unless he can get some points for the team.
Yeah. Really hope he does, though.
Which is really sad.
Yeah.
But I will follow him and see what else he could do in his racing career, because he can be really successful, I'm sure, in other series and racing styles and stuff.
I would love to see him in, like, endurance racing. I don't know how well he could, like... Is that your husband?
No, that's my brother-in-law.
Oh.
He borrowed our car today.
Okay. I was like, what is he doing home from work? It's the middle of the day.
Surprise.
Surprise. Okay, so now we're going to get into the best pit stop, fastest lap, and driver of the day. So for the best pit stop this weekend, we had Red Bull at 2.10 seconds. Still hasn't been able to beat McLaren at the 1.8, so I'm interested to see.
I don't think that's getting beaten for a while.
Nah, which I'm totally fine with.
Oh, I do the next one. Sorry, I missed the communication. Okay, so fastest lap was set by Charles with 1 minute and 19.813 seconds.
Pretty good.
And no, that wasn't a new record.
I don't think it was, no.
That was last week. Max broke a record.
Yeah.
A record was broken recently.
Couldn't tell you. Driver of the day was Carlos Sainz, but it was tied between Oscar and Lando in second place. It was fighting. The three of them were fighting for like driver of the day, but Carlos ended up winning it right after appendix surgery 2 weeks later.
They're all racing now to get their appendix removed.
That's what Lando said.
I've seen so many memes come out of that. They're all so good.
I can imagine Lando getting his done in the next 2 weeks so that he can get a win.
I saw one and it was like Charles laying down and Fred being like, remove everything, doctor.
That's terrible.
So that they can be faster. Just like, no organs, you can go faster, you're lighter.
Yeah, true.
So.
All right. Box.
Box. So we have our pit stop fun fact today, and that is Verstappen's victory in Austin, took him to 466 points for the season at the time. And that is the most points ever scored by a driver, or a record.
Yeah, record by a driver in a season.
Yes.
Yeah.
Most points in a season ever. We also have more races, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
But pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm interested to see if they will ever be able to beat that record.
I hope that's not saying right now, and that would now.
You missed. Okay. My mic went out for just a split second, but it's fine.
This was pushed back a little bit, so I pushed it in. Okay.
So, full transparency, we did not set enough time aside for today. That's my fault. But I have to go take a test, so we will pause this, come back, and then we will go into flags, penalties, and points.
So, if this episode is a little bit all over the place, we're jumping around times, and they're taking lots of breaks.
Yeah.
So
just because life be like that sometimes. So hopefully it's good on y'all's end with all the editing and everything, but just to let you know. So,
yes.
Bye for now. All right, we're back.
Let me drink my water first.
In conclusion, we're both tired. I just finished my test.
How do you think it went?
I think it went pretty good. And I had the confidence to ask the teacher a question that was kind of confusing. And I think it helped with the grade, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, what is photosynthesis, the reactant? Like, what is a reactant in photosynthesis, and what's a product? So I was like, that sounds the same to me, but I know they're not. So I'm going to ask you what it means. And then he told me what it means. And then I was like, okay, I need to change my answer on this one.
Okay, yeah.
So, hoping it's good. But anyway, like we said at the beginning of the episode, because we have this week, like, no race, we do filler things to learn more about the sport. So today we're doing flags, penalties, and points. So we will hop this. There's a lot of flags, and then we're not covering all the penalties, because if we did, we'd be reading from the FIA
for hours.
handbook. So we'll hit the main ones that we see a lot.
Yes, the more common occurrences.
Yes, so if you want to start us off with the flags.
All right, so to get into flags, we got all of our information from Formula1.com.
Mm-hmm.
They said on their website white flag, but they actually wave a blue flag.
Mm-hmm.
And so the blue flag is waved to inform the driver that there is a much slower vehicle ahead and is some... ahead. No. Blue flag is to warn the slow vehicle.
Yeah, so white flag is right.
Okay. Yeah, I read this little synopsis that we had written down wrong. I went through all of them. I was like, there's no blue flag.
So you can just do white and blue if you want to.
So these kind of are tandem.
Mm-hmm.
The white flag is waved to let a car know that there's a slower vehicle in front, and they're about to hit traffic. Pretty much. And then the blue flag is waved at the slower driver to let them know there's a faster car behind them and they need to let them pass.
Yep. Okay, the next one we have is a yellow flag with red stripes. This is a motionless, they just stick it out, they don't wave it, flag. It's shown to inform drivers that there has been a deterioration fluctuation in grip levels due to like oil or water on the track up ahead.
So the yellow flag is waved to let them know that there is danger and that they need to be slow. The driver needs to slow down. There's 2 different levels to the yellow flag. A single flag means the drivers need to reduce their speed, cannot overtake, and must be prepared to change direction due to a hazard or a hazard beside or on the track. Mm-hmm. And then double yellow flag means that the drivers need to reduce their speed significantly, cannot overtake, and must be prepared to change direction or stop due to hazard wholly or partly blocking the track. And it can also mean that marshals are on the track trying to clear up debris. Sometimes in practice and qualifying, they have to abandon the lap, although it does not mean they have to pit, as the track could be clear the following lap.
Yeah. The next one is the code 60 flag. In some cases, the clerk of the course or race director may impose a speed limit around the entire track or any section of the track when double yellow flags are displayed during practice sessions, qualifying sessions, or even some of the races. If a variable speed limit is imposed, this will be indicated with a single yellow flag and a board labeled VSC, virtual safety car. And if a speed limit is imposed on a section of the track, the start and end of the zone will be marked with a double yellow flag and board labeled slow. It's a lot of information.
So now we're going to get to the red flag. This is one that we see every so often, along with the yellow flag is pretty common. Mm-hmm. A red flag is waved at the start line and at each marshal post around the circuit when officials have decided to stop a practice session, qualifying session, or race with reasons ranging from a serious incident to poor weather conditions. In practice and qualifying, all drivers are required to reduce their speed and proceed slowly back to their respective pit garages, while in the race, all drivers are required to reduce their speed and proceed slowly to the pit lane, line up at the exit, and await further instructions. I don't know, I kind of thought about this, but did you guys see the video audio of George's crash in Australia? Like,
it was so scary. Literally terrifying.
You guys probably saw it, but sideways, laying in the middle of the street, and he was like, red flag, I'm in the middle of the street, like, red flag.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like he was literally terrified for his life right when that happened. It was so scary.
There has been so many accidents where people have been T-boned because he hit a corner and then he spun out.
In a corner.
So everybody coming around couldn't see him. And so, like, oh my gosh, it was so stressful. And yeah, they as soon as they could, they radioed to everybody and was like, there is a car on track, like, yeah, completely turned.
I thought that they would immediately red flag it, and I was like, oh my gosh, Charles and Carlos are gonna race for P1.
Yeah,
but they just had everyone come in on that lap pretty much, and
yeah,
didn't do anything further.
But Alonso got like a 20-second penalty for some reason.
I don't exactly know what happened, whether he did or didn't, but supposedly he kind of brake checked George, and that's what caused him to go off track and hit the wall and then have his accident.
Yikes.
So I think that that's probably what that was from.
I hadn't really read into that much, so. Okay, next flag is a black flag, and this is used to disqualify your driver and orders them to return to their pit garage at once. The decision is shown. This flag rests solely with the stewards. We don't see this one very much.
Yeah, if you get a black flag, you're being a really poor driver. Yeah. Like, that shouldn't ever, when you're at a professional level, you should never be getting a black flag.
No.
Speaking of black flag, the black and white flag is shown as a warning to the driver that they have been reported for unsportsmanlike behavior. And it's also waved with the driver number so that they know it's specifically to them. And that applies to the black flag and the black flag with the orange disc. That happens with all of them.
Okay.
And I think they get 3 warnings from a black and white flag before they get a black flag.
Okay. So I'm going to check it out. And then finally our checkered flag, which we still need to get for our podcast.
Yes.
The black and white checkered flag waved from above the pit wall marks the end of a practice session, qualifying session, or race, and is waved until all competing cars have reached it. So, checkered flag. You see some celebrities do it at some races.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And I don't know if everyone knows this, but once you pass a checkered flag, your race is done.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've been lapped and you pass the checkered flag, your race is still done. You don't get to fully finish the race, technically.
Yeah.
It's over.
It's over for you.
Yeah. So if there's a 50-lap race and you're on lap 49, but you pass a checkered flag, you're
done.
You're done. So for penalties, there are many different kinds, and we already said if we got into all of them, we'd be here for a long time. We don't have the FIA handbook manual, so we can't talk about all of them. So the first one that we're going to get into is engine penalties. Should a driver use more than one power unit elements One second. Should a driver use more power unit elements than the number set out above, a grid place penalty will be imposed upon them. At the first event where each additional element is used, this happened last year with Charles, I believe.
Yes.
Who was it, power unit?
Mm-hmm.
And I think he got was it a 10-place grid penalty?
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah.
That's usually what the consequence is.
Yeah, the first time the allocation of any of the 7 elements is exceeded is a 10-place grid penalty. Oh, I have that in my notes, actually. And the second time it occurs and so on results in a 5-place grid penalty. All penalties at the same event applying in a cumulative manner. If a driver incurs a penalty exceeding 15 grid places, they will be required to start at the back of the race or the pit lane.
Yeah. Okay, the next penalty that we've seen sometimes is gearbox penalties, which is a little bit similar. As with their power units, drivers have a pool of 4 gearboxes that can be swapped around during a season. Only when a driver exceeds their allocation of either of the above gearbox components do they receive a grid penalty. The first time the allocation of either of the components is exceeded, a 5-place grid penalty will be dished out with the same number applying for their repeat offenses. This means a 10-place grid drop will be earned if the allocation of both sets as components are exceeded at once. We saw this once or twice last year, right?
I'm going to take a quick second and go get Ezra because she keeps kind of crying. So I'll be right back. All right, so now that we've talked about that, I literally just forgot because I have a headache. I don't know why. I forgot what we literally just talked about. We're going to talk about time penalties now, though. Time penalties are served when the drivers pit... Okay, hold on. Let me move this over here so I can see. I can't see my notes, guys. Alright. Time penalties are served when the drivers pit and the crew can't work on the car before the penalty passes. If they don't pit again before the race ends, the penalty is added to their finishing time. Reasons why drivers receive such penalties vary. In qualifying, we see a lot of impeding, and they'll get like a time penalty, or they're, whatever.
It's just one of those days.
I can't think straight anymore.
Okay, so I have a drive-through penalty. Sometimes drivers receive a drive-through penalty in which they drive through the pit lane and join the rest of the race. We saw this with Joe last weekend, or the weekend before. He started from the pit lane.
Yeah, that was Joe.
Or in other instances, they hit a 10-second stop and go penalty in which they pit, wait 10 seconds, have no work done to the car, and then join the race again. We saw this a couple times last season.
Yes, and probably expect it to see
a couple
to
more
see it this season.
Yeah.
All right, so grid penalties are usually given when drivers have engine components changed more times than allowed. We kind of already alluded to this. Charles got it last year. Let me find where I am.
It kind of just explains what happened last year.
We already just kind of touched on that.
Oops. I hope y'all bear with us for this episode. It's a busy week for the both of us. So.
I feel like we were totally on target when we started filming, and then we had like an hour break, and now we're all over the place. I can't think straight.
Yeah.
So,
baby. Okay, so now we're going to get into points. This is really easy. And we will be posting graphics for this so that if you ever need to come back and like, oh, like we're at a race, I wonder how many points this driver is going to get. You can do that, or you can like download an app that will tell you. That I use BoxBox. It's a app that you can choose your driver in your team, and it will tell you the points that each person gets each weekend. So that's an easy way to keep up with it. But the scoring system for the Drivers' Championship is for the first 10 finishers at each Grand Prix with 25 points to the winner before scaling down to 18, 15, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, and a single point for the 10th place driver. There's an additional point available for the driver with the fastest lap of the race if they finish in the top 10. I didn't realize that. I thought it was you could just do it whenever you want. Plus, more points are available for their championship in the sprint races that we have every once in a while. The driver with the most points at the end of the year wins the title. No end of season playoffs. So, I think
so. The most points a driver can get in one race is 26 points, and that is if they win and get fastest lap. Although I feel like last year at some point, Daniel was in like 15th or something, and they gave him softs for fastest lap. So I don't know if that has changed.
I don't know. This was the F1 News though, like channel. So I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that is all that we really have for you today. Hopefully this made sense. Hopefully we covered most of what you really want to know about with flags, points, and penalties to get you started into F1 if you're new or if you just don't really understand that side of it yet. As we said, Suzuka is next week, Japan is next week. So we'll do a pre-race preview then, and then possibly cover another topic. So make sure you are commenting or replying, or even just replying in the message down below of what you would like to hear about F1 related, some topics that you would like to learn more about or want to understand further.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode. And yeah, if you ever come up with anything that you want us to talk about, shoot us a DM.
Or email if you don't have Instagram.
Yeah, we will be happy to enlighten everyone.
Maybe even ourselves.
We do the best we can.
And as we said at the beginning of the episode, our setting is going to change a little bit, so bear with us. Hopefully it's more pleasing as we go through the season. Yeah, we have some fun stuff coming, so I'm excited for that.
Yes. We are talking about potentially doing more YouTube content.
Yes.
If you're watching on YouTube, hi, we're so glad you're here. I hope that we can put some YouTube videos out soon.
That'd be fun.
We're really excited for it.
Maybe have some guests on.
Yes. If anyone ever wants to be on the podcast,
just DM us.
Just let us know and we'll try and make it happen.
Yeah. We've got other mics, so we can make it happen.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. Have a great week, everyone.
And that's our checkered flag.
Yeah.